It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The cut this hour brought to you by Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com, TrajanWealth.com for all your trusted local needs in retirement. And Cole Bagley joins us on the program as he does on a weekly basis here. And we're having a lot of fun watching these tournaments, Cole. And I was watching that game on Saturday. I was frustrated to see Team USA down 2-1 with a wild, weird goal that Denmark scored, and I didn't like the way it was going. Suddenly they poured on in the second period, and they put them away with a 6-3 win. But that felt a little dicey to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing for the United States right now is, through those first two games, it felt like they were still kind of figuring each other out. They made some new additions to the team. They had some guys playing that were not part of their not part of the roster during Four Nations, and so I was not pleased with those either. I mean, I feel like that goal that Swayman gave up near center ice was just kind of pathetic and unacceptable. Yeah. But the thing that the United States has going for them right now is they're basically an all-star team. They're the second best team at this tournament, just minimally behind Canada. And teams are having a tough time skating with them once they get into the second and third periods. And we've seen that through all three games. We, especially saw that against Germany. The United States just kind of started to turn it up because, similar to Canada, every single player for the most part on this United States roster is an all-star level type player. And, when you're going 60 minutes, those guys are going to wear you down. Not only with, how good they are individually, but as a team, because they move the puck incredibly well, all four lines, offensively, and, of course, all three defensive pairings. Any of those guys can burn you and light up the scoreboard. So, yeah, it wasn't a great start necessarily to the tournament, but they started to figure things out against Germany, and I think if they can continue to play that way and build upon how they approach that game, they'll have a chance to not only play for gold, but I think to give Canada a run for their money.
Well, now it's single elimination. Things get serious, and their opponent in the quarterfinals is Sweden. I don't think you could draw a tougher 7 seed than Sweden. Does Sweden have a chance to upset the Americans in the quarterfinals?
They sure do. Guys like William Nylander and Gabriel Landeskog and a handful of other really, really talented NHL players on this team. It's the knockout stages, right? Like, you have one bad period or you have a bad start and suddenly you're trailing 2-0. Yeah, I mean, a team like Sweden absolutely has the firepower and the means to knock off the United States. And, I still am not fully convinced at this point that we are going to get a gold medal game between the United States and Canada, because teams like Sweden and Finland, they look dangerous. And one bad puck bounce, one missed shift, and, you're going home. So, United States, I mean, it's almost like a trap game. Like, this is a dangerous team that they're going to have to take really seriously. And if they want to win, they're going to have to play their best hockey of the tournament so far.
I think you said there was one guy on all of Sweden's roster that's not in the NHL. And these guys, yeah, I look at Nylander and I'm going, oh, this guy, man. And they were getting chippy against Latvia today. JJ and I were watching it just as we came in the studio. It was ending. And they were not letting up. Like, it was 4-1 with like a minute left, and or with like 2 minutes left, and they're like, "Don't care, we're gonna still keep punching in." They punch in a fifth goal, and they are really good. The quality of hockey at this tournament has just been really, really good so far. Canada, who did they hang the 10 spot on this weekend? It was 10-2. I can't. It's escaping me who they lost or who they beat.
It was France.
It was France. 10-2. They look like the bad guys in the Mighty Ducks movies.
Yeah, they're basically the Monstars. Like, all of their lines are just insanely good. I mean, you've got to deal with Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, Cale Makar, Brad Marchand. Like, the list just goes on and on. Mitch Marner, like Braden Point. I mean, it legitimately is. This might be the best Olympic team to ever take the ice in the history of the Olympics. Wow. Is Team Canada. They are that good. And I do think that we are on a pretty solid trajectory for USA and Canada. But if that ends up being the case, the United States are the underdogs in that scenario. not significant, but it would take an upset for the USA to win gold.
When you look at that matchup, well, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we can get away with that because we're not involved directly.
Hey, they're the ones who filmed all the commercials that are basically
That's
just
true.
us versus
Okay,
them,
fair enough.
kind of deal. So there you go.
If we do see a Canada-USA matchup, obviously Canada has more firepower than anybody, but their weakness is probably defensively and in between the pipes, right? USA seems to be completely opposite. Is that why you believe the U.S. built their roster the way they did so they can counter that just incredibly powerful offensive attack that Canada has? Do you think that played into their decision-making with the roster?
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely where the United States has an advantage. Their defense is a lot better than Canada's defense, and so is their goaltending. I mean, I'm not going to talk about Swayman anymore, but I think, with Connor Hellebuck and Jake Ottinger as your 1-2 punch in net to the United States, and then defensively, to have guys like Quinn Hughes and Charlie McAvoy and what have you, Zach Werenski, like the United States is significantly at an advantage defensively, which is good because you are facing an onslaught of offensive talent every single shift. Doesn't matter if it's, lines 1 through 4, any of those lines can hurt you. And so to have it locked down defensively is a huge advantage for the Americans. And then, of course, to have Connor Hellebuck bailing you out as the last line of defense. Offensively, they're not too far behind Canada, but, when you're looking at these things on paper, it's certainly an advantage for the Canadians up front. So, yeah, I do like how this Team USA roster is constructed. It was exciting to see Clayton Keller get into the game the other day, and he's projected to play against Sweden tomorrow. So we'll see how things go. But like I said, the United States just has to keep building on the way that they played Germany. Yeah,
how did you think that Clayton Keller did in the 10 minutes he got first time on the ice for the games? He looked pretty dang solid.
Yeah, he played his tail off. He came in with fresh legs. He came in with, a chip on his shoulder and something to prove, and he played his game. Mammoth fans are very familiar with his style, which is, he's a facilitator, right? I think he's one of the elite maestros in the National Hockey League, the way that he's able to, just possess the puck very confidently. He never seems rattled. He had really good zone entries. He had good, possessions in the O zone. And then, he didn't register a point on Tage Thompson's goal, but he made that goal possible. He had a strong zone entry. He got a shot on net. He helped, the team and the offense reload the puck. And then what he did is he went and he battled right in front of the net. He drew 2 German defensemen, opened up the lane, and then Tage blasted one right on frame, and it ends up in the back of the net. So, yeah, I am not surprised whatsoever that Keller, is projected to stay in the lineup. I think that Kyle Connor has just kind of been a little bit of a dud on that line. That's who he replaced. He just hasn't been invested, whereas, Keller is a very, very, very competitive guy. It's one of those things that with professional athletes, there's your star players and there's your elite star players. And I think the separation is how competitive are those dudes, right? Your Kobe Bryants, your Michael Jordans, your LeBron James. Clayton Keller has that level of competitiveness, within him. And so, yeah, he played well, and I'm hoping that those projections hold true and that we see him playing again for the Stars and Stripes tomorrow.
Well, for Mammoth fans that can't wait to see their team back on the ice, we're only 8 days away from that. And when they come back, it looks like they're going to get some guys back. You were at practice today, and what's the latest on the injury situation?
Yeah, so again, just kind of baby steps, but taking, we're now into the significant steps towards making a return. Both Kerfoot and Cooley were out on the ice this afternoon in full contact sweaters, and they were definitely playing full contact. Nick DeSimone laid a pretty good hit on Logan Cooley right in front of me. So, yeah, they're full contact right now. I was able to ask Andre Tourney, are they fully cleared? He said, no, not quite yet, but they are cleared for full contact. They're just not game ready. But I assume that over these next 8 days, again, it's kind of baby steps. They want to make sure that they take all the right precautions and everything. But, yeah, I would anticipate that those guys are going to be ready to go, and that's a significant boost. And as well, Cooley was playing, and you got to take these things with a grain of salt because they don't have the complete roster right now. They actually called up about 4 or 5 guys from Tucson just to make sure that they had a full skate today. So take it with a grain of salt, but Cooley was skating on a line consistently with Jack McBain and Dylan Gunther. That goes back to the Coyotes days. They played a little bit together, and I think last year they may have had a few games together. So we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, it continues to trend in a positive way.
I mean, the return is kind of crazy too, because these guys coming back from a major international tournament, and then you come right home, and then you have to face the Avalanche the first night back. And to me, like, I mean, every team's dealing with this, right? Dealing with this. They've got guys who are playing in the Olympics on every NHL roster, basically. And so, does it? I mean, just because we haven't seen it for a minute, does it take a minute for all the guys who were playing in the tournament to kind of come back to earth, so to speak, on their regular NHL team?
Yeah, especially, expecting that the United States and Canada are going to keep pushing through towards the gold. I mean, Colorado, their two best players are on Team Canada. There's a good chance, and I mean, I'll be shocked if Canada is not playing for gold. And so you're going to have Nathan McKinnon and Kel McCarr exhausting themselves for their country for 2 straight weeks, and then come back to the NHL, and play a Mammoth team that's very well rested. I mean, Karel Vejmelka hasn't even touched Olympic ice. I don't expect him to. JJ Peterka has played some strong minutes for Germany, but I would anticipate that their Olympic run will be coming to an end here pretty quickly in the knockout stages. And then, Keller's only played 9 minutes. And so, Utah's going to catch, some of these teams. They play the Wild shortly after the Avalanche, and the Wild also have 4 of their top players playing at the Olympics. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good time for the Mammoth to catch those teams. Maybe they can catch them a little tired, a little exhausted, and use that to their advantage.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that the Avalanche would bring those top players 3 or 4 days after a gold medal game to Salt Lake City for that initial game. So that could work out pretty well.
Oh, it's tough. We wish them the best.
Yeah.
We wish them the best.
Yeah. So looking ahead, though, I think the next date or the next big thing in the NHL is going to be that trade deadline on March 5th. I don't know what the scuttlebutt is or what you're hearing, but do you expect Utah to be a buyer at the trade deadline or to be very active at that deadline?
Yeah, I'd expect them to be active. I think Bill Armstrong will continue to have the mindset that he always has. He's always looking to make this team better. That's his job. He wakes up every day looking for new avenues and looking for ways that he can help improve this team. And I would expect them to definitely be more active than we saw a year ago. At the deadline, they were just offloading contracts last year. They didn't do a whole lot, but this year, it's different, right? Like they're on the cusp of making, the Stanley Cup playoffs. They put themselves in the top wild card spot. They're going to get Cooley and Kerfoot back, and they're reaching a point in the rebuild where they've got too many assets. They can't sign all these prospects. They're going to start moving away from that draft lottery. So those first round picks to them aren't as significant, and so they've got to start utilizing those assets in the correct manner, similar to what the Jazz just did in acquiring Jaren Jackson, right? Like, if there's a guy out there that that maybe is playing for a team that's not going to work out as long, and he can match your timeline, and you feel okay about moving off of one of your bottom players and a prospect and a pick, that's the type of deal that I would anticipate that Utah could make. I'm not saying that they will, but yeah, I would expect them to be active and to be looking around and seeing if there's anybody that they can't add to this roster to bolster their chances of making the playoffs.
Team USA fires it up tomorrow against Sweden at 1:30 here Mountain Time, and so I like the tournament too because they're playing like pretty late into the evenings. I mean, for them, right? I mean, you're going to 10:30, 11 o'clock at night for these games, and it's great for us because it's actually, if you want to get up and watch the skiing events, see you at 2 in the morning. So this is a good one for us because it's in the middle of the regular part of the day for us to be able to watch. Cole Bagley, of course, our Utah Mammoth insider for KSLSports.com, joining us courtesy of the good folks at Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. Cole, we'll chat with you again, man. We're excited for Team USA and for the Mammoth. All of it, man. Thanks for keeping us dialed in.
Yeah, keep that Freebird coming on those intros.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Top 5 rock song of all time. Agree or disagree?
Yes, sir.
Good
stuff. It's good stuff. That's a song I know. I might be young, but that's a song that I know.
Look at that. Okay. Stop it with the "you're old and I'm young" stuff, all right?
Nice dig at the end.
You were this close.
It's called a chirp, boys.
I know.
I got it.
Chuck is chirping.
You were this close.
Chirp.
That's the way you're going to leave us?
I love it. Cole,
absolutely.
Have a great week, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again.
Have a good one, fellas.
There you go.